go back round onto the pontoon that we were on before, I think. The final step in getting our keel cooled fridge then is the wiring stage. Everything else is done. Now I use Ocean Flex cable, which is marine grade, and it's tinned. So it's a full copper cable, but it's tinned so that it withstands the marine environment better. It is more expensive, but it's worth using for this kind of thing. This is 12 Aug, which I think is 2mm squared, which is capable of handling 20 amps at least, which is more than enough for this application. And then for the connectors, the spade connectors, you've all seen the kind of spade connectors that are used on cars and this kind of thing. Well, I use this kind of thing. I use a brand called Wirefly. And the reason I use Wirefly is because they have got heat shrink with glue inside, so they're much better at stopping moisture getting up into the cable. Tools wise I use these kind of wire strippers, which are, I'll just show you. I use normal pair of side cutters to trim the cable down, and then these to strip the insulation off, and they're automatic. You can adjust them, but you don't generally need to. And then I use these ratcheted type of crimping tools, and I use a Stanley knife if I need to trim any thicker insulation off. And then I'm using just a general kitchen clicker. Technically speaking, you should use hot air to shrink the heat shrink, because it chars the heat shrink slightly less, but the kitchen clicker works just fine. So I'm going to run this cable up and P-clip it, black to number 1, red to number 2, and I've left just enough slack cable that I can P-clip this up tidily. The very final bit of wiring to do then, I've got that all wired up to the switch, is to run a cable from the bonding earthing stud on the keel cooler to the earth of the boat. So if you remember, I put on a new cable from our main anode to the engine block, so I'll be able to just run this cable to somewhere on the engine block, or I'm going to actually install a big negative bus bar, I think, and bring all the bonding together. I hadn't realised just how bad the bonding on this boat was, but that's a job for another day. However, for now, I want to make sure that I've got a good connection to the keel cooler, between the keel cooler and the anode and the engine, to make sure that it doesn't disintegrate. There are anodes on the keel cooler. There's 2 little penny anodes, but it specifically says in the instructions that they're indicators. So don't rely on those to protect the keel cooler from degradation, from electrolysis. If you see those starting to degrade, then there's a problem. But they're easy enough to get hold of. They'll supply those to you readily. So I'm just going to run a cable, and then we can switch on and see how the fridge cools down for us. This little tab down here is the connection for the bonding to go to the anode, and that's where I'm going to put a piece of wire with a lug on the end there. There you go then, that's the cable that goes from here to the anode, and as I say, that stud isn't the one supplied with the kit, because I went outside with it. I heard a noise outside and went outside with it in my hand and tripped and dropped the bloody thing in the sea. So, but that'll do the job. It'll be absolutely fine. Okay, so that's all done. The fridge is completely installed. I've done the connection for the anodes, so we've now got proper bonding and what have you. The other thing I did while I was in there was swapped out our alternator belt, because we had, while Sean was doing the engine mounts, we went over the engine and he said he thought the belt for the alternator was the wrong profile. So I've been to Mech Services, which I'll tell you about as well, because they're really handy here if you're staying in Portland. Super handy, because they do pipes and fittings and all that kind of stuff, and they've got me some new belts for the engine. I've been and changed them 2 or 3 times, because the first set I got weren't quite right, and because obviously the belt that was on the engine was wrong, so I couldn't just take the belt that was on the engine and say I need a new one of these, because we knew that was wrong. So I had to do a process of trial and error, but we've now got what I think is the right belt, which is I forget the exact numbers on it, but it fits great. It fits into the pulleys nicely and is the right length. So yeah, hopefully Melissa and Ollie will be back any second, and she'll be pleased that the fridge in the galley is now working. That does mean that we've now got a fridge with a little freezer box in there, and we can put the Bluetti into freezer mode. So we'll actually have a fridge and a freezer and an ice maker. Wow, luxury. I can just hear them coming back. One thing I will say, have you ever been in a house or a boat where the fridge is really noisy and it's really irritating? Well, this thing is, I mean, I think it went to the school of how to be quiet and passed with straight A's. It is as quiet as a quiet thing. Here they are. You've got challenges? Yeah. I think we've got a working fridge in the galley.
Oh, that's amazing.
Hi, Ollie.
Should have done more shopping.
Should have done more shopping. Come and have a look. It's incredibly quiet.
The fridge?
Yeah. The fridge is incredibly quiet.
Oh, wow.
It does that when it's getting cold.
Yeah.
And then it just goes off. So it's super efficient. It's not working hard at all. So have a feel of the ice box. It's actually like...
It's actually frozen.
It's frozen already. Frozen. Yeah, it's frosty enough to keep ice cream. I put a thermometer in there, just a cheapy one. Have a look at the temperature now.
Let me put Ollie.
So what's that now reading? It was reading 20 degrees in the galley outside the fridge.
It was about 4-5 degrees.
So it's 4 or 5 degrees.
That's perfect fridge temperature.
But that's a thermometer inside the fridge, and that's the reason why I want to get the digital version of this, because the digital version has an LCD screen and you can set it to a specific temperature. Yeah. Hence why I've put that there. But you don't like that there, do you?
No.
Right, so Melissa wants me to move that inside the fridge.
Yeah, my concern is here, obviously. I mean, it should be fine because it's designed to be in a fridge, but if it got splashed with water...
Well, there's no real voltage. It is only a potentiometer.
And also just accidentally...
Nudged. Okay, so we can move that. That's like...
But that can live in the fridge, can't it?
It can live in the fridge, and it's a 5-minute job to move it, so don't stress about that. I can move it, and it says in the instructions it can live inside or outside.
Are we going to send Jack to buy ice cream now to test it?
I think so. Here in the aft cabin, under the companionway, is a washing machine. Melissa bought this over a year ago. It's a proper marine washing machine. It's got you know, all the accoutrements necessary to lock the drum when you're sailing. It's only little. It's only a couple of kilos, I think, but it will be handy for washing, you know, Ollie's small clothes and stuff like that. And we've never had it plumbed in. I've boxed it in so that it doesn't move around when we're underway. But I'm going to try to run some pipe work to it. I've already run a whole load of new pipe work for the fresh water. So there are no copper pipes. There's none of the old pipe work left on the boat at all now, basically. But all the pipe work for the water to feed the immersion tank and to bring hot water back from the calorifier, from the immersion tank, comes up here. So what I've got to try and do now, I think, is tap into the cold water feed that fills the calorifier tank, and just simply take a water feed through to the washing machine in the aft cabin. Shouldn't be too difficult. That blue pipe down there is the pipe in question, so all I've got to do is pop that off, put a T-piece on. Yeah, that'll be dead simple actually, won't it? I think this is going to be a lot easier than I thought it was. I've got a T-piece here, so the water will come in here and go out there to the washing machine. I've already brought the hose through for the washing machine itself, which is here. And then this one will take the supply to the immersion heater, and there's already a valve on here. Once this all works, once I know it works, I'll clip all the cables up and make sure that it's all neat and tidy, like I did with the fridge, if you saw that. So if you think, oh, that looks a bit untidy, it won't do, because I'll make sure that all the cables are properly clipped up and what have you. But let's plug it all in and see if the washing machine will work. So we've got the plumbing done. I'm sure you couldn't really see it, unfortunately. I'm going to turn, because it's so cramped in there, trying to film plugging some connectors together. Let's just turn the plumbing, the pumps back on, and see if there's any leaks anywhere. I'm listening out for leaks. Right, there's no leaks. Let's plug in. The socket for the washing machine is behind Jack's books here. Wow. I'm just doing a wash with no clothes in to begin with, because if this all goes horribly wrong, I don't want our clothes getting stuck in there and I can't get into the thing. So I'm trialling it out now with one of my jumpers and a towel, because then if it gets ruined, it's my jumper and a towel that's got ruined. But as far as I can see, this is working absolutely fine. Looks like we have a washing machine on board. That's fantastic. I hope I've done this right. Melissa's going to kill me if I ruin one of my best jumpers. Observant viewers amongst you will have noticed that we've had a variety of different tables in this boat since we've owned her. Basically, the table that she came with was no good, really. And when I redid the floorboards, the sole boards, we haven't screwed anything to them, because we've been sort of mulling over the best solution for a table, and we really don't want to put any holes in those floorboards. Ollie's little fold-up seat normally goes in here, that he has a little tray on for his food. But what I want to do now is tackle our table solution.
So we are off to collect Jack from his last day of his dinghy sailing week.
Yeah, he's been sailing at the Andrew Simpson Academy over here, the Sailing Academy, which is sort of the Team GB buildings. So there's not really a much better place for him to learn to dinghy sail, is there?
No, so he's had hopefully a great week, and hopefully he'll tell you all about it, but we should be picking him up with his level 1 and level 2 dinghy sailing certificate. And what's super handy about it is if you're in Portland Marina and you've got a kid with a level 1 dinghy sailing certificate, they can just sign up for any Saturday club, and it's a 5-minute walk from the marina.
Yeah, exactly. So Jack can go off on his own on a Saturday, and from a social point of view, he can make friends at the dinghy sailing thing on a Saturday and have a fantastic time.
Yeah. What have you got, Jack?
I've got my stage 2 and my stage 1 and stage 2 RYA youth sailing certificates.
Awesome. And did you have a great week?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, we're really, really grateful to everyone that contributed towards Jack's sailing week. He's just had the best time.
Thank you very much.
You've learnt so much this week, haven't you?
Yeah.
So now he's just going to be single-handing our boat the whole time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You will notice in a minute when Melissa moves these bags of shopping that she won her battle to move the controller unit inside the fridge. So that's now inside.
Yeah. So I've done some shopping. We've set the portable Bluetti fridge into freezer mode, so we've turned that down to -18.
So that's now a freezer.
Yeah. So we've got a load of frozen veg and stuff like that in there. Ding, ding, ding. Ollie's having his say. But yeah, we've got loads of frozen vegetables in there, which is really handy. So now to stock the fridge.
This is the ding, ding, ding. Say hello, ding, ding, ding.
He's cleaning.
You're cleaning. So if you can hear Ollie in the background, yeah, because. So now, what were you saying?
Time to stock the fridge.
Time to stock the fridge. Mum will cry.
Now I just need to work out a way of organising the fridge. Obviously, because in a house you've got doors that you open and shelves. We've got one shelf in there, but I need to get some storage boxes, fridge boxes, and work a way of stacking it so like dairy's in one and meat's in the other and things like that.
I've turned everything else off on the boat and I'm getting a draw of 2.7 amps. And that's while it's still cooling down, remember. We've just not long switched it on. No, it's just refreshing. We've not long switched it on, so it's still cooling down. But we're getting 2.7 amps of draw. And I can't hear anything at all. When it kicks in, apparently it has an initial draw of 12 amps, which I didn't catch. And then when it's running, it uses a lot less, you know, just kind of keeping the fridge cool. So we're super, super happy with that. There have been a couple of people have said, there's a question mark over how good it's going to be when we get to really hot climates with really hot water. Remember, there's a difference between keel cooled and water cooled, so there is a difference there, which I won't go into because it's really complicated. And the answer to that is we'll see. We will find out, won't we? If we find that that struggles more in really hot water and the Bluetti works better or the air cooled one works better, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I don't think we've got the wrong system. I think we've got the right system for what we want to do for the long term, you know, boat. We've had an equal number of people have said, I fitted one of those a couple of years ago and it was the best thing we ever did. It was absolutely fantastic. And a couple of people who ironically don't have them have said, oh, well, I've got concerns about that, Andy. In hot water, you might find it's a problem. Well, we might. And if we do, well, so what? You know what I mean? We've got a keel-cooled top-loading fridge with a freezer box in the galley and Bluetti, which can be both, and that's air cooled.
Can I add to that though?
Yeah.
So obviously in hot countries when the waters are hot, the
air is even hotter.
Yeah. So obviously if you've got an air-cooled fridge, that's going to be working really hard, but I think that's where people have got the question mark over the difference between keel-cooled and water-cooled.
Yes, it's
because obviously
keel-cooled. And also the other thing to remember is about heat dispersal. When you've got an air-cooled compressor and you're basically blowing over a condenser unit, is it the condenser unit or the evaporator unit? But whatever, all that hot heat is going into your boat.
Yeah.
you know, it's not going into the water, and the sea is a very big heat sink.
Yeah.
Even when it's warm, it's still a really big heat sink.
Yeah.
So well, you might be right. You might be absolutely correct, and we don't know.
But everyone that we know that's got one have just
Yeah.
said you use more energy when the water.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll use more electricity when it's really hot. You'd expect it to.
Yeah.
But anyway, waffling.
Very happy.
Very happy. Penguin, thank you. And of course, links on the screen, links in the description. Go and get yourself. And they don't just do keel-cooled stuff, they do air-cooled stuff and water-cooled stuff. They've got a variety of things. This is just what we've gone for with them.
Yeah.
Final roundup then of the whole of the last couple of weeks. Let's have a look at the engine and the vibration issues on the engine and the new mounts. There's the engine running absolutely beautifully. Now the engine is out of gear and you can see there is no vibration. If you're wondering what that cable is on the top, I'm just doing some wiring, but there is no vibration. That's beautiful. And if you look, I've got my new alternator belt there, which is sitting in the groove perfectly. Thank you, Next Services. Here is my new pipe work. You can see the water in the strailer there, and my new pipe work goes underneath the prop shaft, and it's properly clipped and secured all the way along, multiple points, so that it can't touch the prop shaft. It absolutely can't. If one of those clips breaks, the pipe's going to go down, not up, so it can't land on the prop shaft again. Everything is double clipped with proper stainless marine grade Jubilee clips. Let's put the boat in gear and see what the vibration is like in gear. In gear. Yeah, we're going backwards. So now you can see prop shaft is turning and there's no vibration. Nothing. It looks exactly the same in gear as it does out. Now obviously we've got to go out and do some sea trials and push the engine and watch it while it's really being revved hard, but that is fantastic. So I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with that. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you to Sean and Boat Folk and the Boat Care team for doing the engine mounts and for finding that pipe. Some of people said, oh my goodness, I can't believe Andy missed that. The reason I missed it is because it was right at the back of the engine and it was the underside of the pipe. I would have only found it by taking the pipe off or physically feeling the pipe. My takeaway from that is when I'm doing my inspections on the engine, I won't just do a visual inspection, I'll do a physical inspection. So I'll physically feel the pipe. It's a little bit like, I need to start employing some paramedic algorithms and mnemonics to this. When you're assessing whether somebody's unconscious or not, you use a mnemonic, AVPU, alert, verbal, pain, and responsive. And I need to do something like that with my assessment of the engine. I need to do a visual inspection and then I need to do a physical inspection so you can feel if there's any problems. And again, it's similar in climbing. You look at the climbing rope and then you feel the rope all the way down to see if there's any explosions. That's aside. That's fantastic. The alternator belt is working perfectly. I've already started another project doing some wiring, so you may have noticed a few stray wires there, but that's just, I'm so pleased. Now, I was going to close the episode there, and then I suddenly remembered there's some other footage in this episode, isn't there, of me starting to build our saloon table. I haven't finished it, but I've got a really good proof of concept, I think, here. One thing I will say, a lot of people say, oh, you always start projects and never finish them. Well, let's call the fridge is now finished, okay? So that was a full installation, done, dusted, finished. Thank you very much, Penguin Refrigeration. The engine mounts, the engine cooling system, that's finished. All the work that we intended to do on the lift out is done. We can draw a line under that. The table, on the other hand, is not finished, but it does work. Look at this. What we've now got on the wall just here is the table bolted to this little throne that I've made for Ollie. So he can sit there. And currently I've just got a bungee cord, so I'm going to make a really nice hardwood latch to hold that table up against the wall, and I'm going to make this piece that's currently pivots, I'm going to make that into a slide. But this is how it works. Look, you take your bungee cord off. As you lower the table, this leg comes out. So this is then a nice work table for me or Melissa to sit and do desk work. There's no fiddle on this side, so if the kids want to draw, they're not leaning on the fiddle with their arms and hurting the back of their arm. And then I've got the hinges, I've got threaded pins which are stainless steel, and there's one, and I've drilled and tapped into the mahogany, and there's the other two. So now you slide this out to the outer position, and we'll put the pins back in. One, two, you just thread that in. Be nice to have a spring pin there, wouldn't it? And now it's a two-person table, and Ollie can sit here. He sits there with his legs under the table. And then the final thing is this pivots out. Now I don't like that. I want to make that slide out and make it chunkier. This leg folds out and that folds over. And we've now got a table for, you know, all of us to sit at, and you can comfortably sit here, comfortably sit the other side. You can even sit there, but we can sit the whole family around this. And to put it away is just a reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just move the hinge pins, take them out. It's robust, and it's a little bit over-engineered, I think. That goes back there. This will end up being, as I say, a latch of some sort, and that is that. Job done. So that is now our saloon table solution. Now that I've made it and I've done it and it works, and I've got to admit it works great, but I want to do it again because I now think, oh, I could do this better and I could do that better. So I won't do it again because that would be a waste, but I'll certainly keep fettling and refining this until it's nice. And with that, I'm going to say bye-bye. Thank you very, very much for watching. Don't go away just yet because I've got a couple of things I want to say. First of all, huge thank you to Penguin Refrigeration for the fridge system. Huge thank you to Boat Folk for the engine mounts and helping me out with all those bits and potentially saving us from sinking with that, that burst pipe. And thank you to you for watching and commenting and liking. Every time you watch this video from beginning to end and you like the videos and you comment on the videos, it boosts our channel, and we can't thank you enough for that. Thank you so much to our patrons for supporting us so unerringly. You guys are the ones that make this channel possible and enable us to keep going. That's amazing. And a huge thank you to everybody who sent a video message or some contribution for Jack's birthday. That was so blown away. Melissa and I were literally like choked up and in tears over this. He had a brilliant time on his sailing course. He's passed his RYA level 1 and 2. And that's thanks to the generosity of you guys that put something towards that. That was just mind-blowing. We're so, so grateful. And the video messages that you sent, the happy birthday messages, which were on the video, you know, you'll have seen it already. If you haven't, look back, it's really sweet. So again, we were literally like teary-eyed watching it. It was lovely. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of you, our viewers, our patrons, our contributors. It means the world to us. Cheers, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye. Do you like your throne, Ollie? Are you eating?
It's apple.
Eat apple. Okay, I won't make you talk with your mouth full. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.